Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to join me today to speak a bit about engagement. I'm so sorry I couldn't join you live, but thank you to Bram and the entire Census of South America team. I know the amount of work that goes into pulling something like this off. I hope the first couple days have been a huge success, and I'm humbled and honored to join you today for a few minutes just to talk about the world we live in, the way we reach our audience, and just share some best practices and some of the initiatives we've undertaken and hopefully help you better get your message out to the trade and your industry colleagues. Andrew, thanks for having me today. I know you just gave an intro, but thank you for joining me as always.
Absolutely thrilled to be here and love talking about all the fun things that we've done and how creative we've gotten to be over this really wonky time that we're all living in.
Definitely.
So I guess probably one of the first things to kind of get out of the way is explain a little more about KAI and what we do before we get into how we've been able to change during this time.
Sure. I mean, I'd like to think everyone knows us, but I know that's not true. So for those of you not familiar, I'm Dave Cartagena, the president of KAI. Andrew's my number two, my business development manager. So everything we talk about today was a collaboration without a question. So KAI, we're an international marketing firm. We're headquartered in Hoboken, New Jersey, right outside of New York. And we look after a number of accommodation options, inbound tour operators or DMCs, luxury trains, cruise lines all over the world, and we handle their sales and marketing in the North American market. So we work with a number of great suppliers. In South America, we work with Bram and Pure Travel Group. They're our big partner in South America, and we are their eyes and ears on the ground in North America. So, you know, PC pre-COVID back in 2019, when everyone loved the industry and running around like crazy, myself, Andrew, and the balance of our team, we were on the ground and out doing sales calls probably 320 days a year, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
On average, I think I did the math once, we were doing about 1,200 office visits across the entire sales team. Obviously, that went from 1,200 to zero overnight. So, you know, we sat down as a team and said, we still have these amazing clients. We understand travel's very quiet right now, but it will come back. So how do we stay engaged with the travel trade in North America, but keep their attention, stay top of mind, so that way when they do start getting inquiries, borders open up, we're relevant, they think to call us. And I think that's kind of our core business, is staying relevant, staying front of mind, and showing the value proposition that our clients offer. So a lot of what we do can certainly be applied to your businesses, whether you own a little 4-room boutique eco lodge or you own the largest DMC in South America. A lot of our best practices and kind of the different avenues we took to get to where we are today can be applied on a micro scale to your business, we hope. Hope that sums it up.
I think you summed it up pretty well. Yeah, and you know, you touched on it. We were doing all this, and you were actually in Australia when the world shut down. I was in East Africa. And all of a sudden you make it home and you're stuck in your house, and the whole industry is trying to figure out how to go forward, right? We're all in the same position. And it's been really interesting watching the different paths that everyone takes. So I think, you know, immediately we all jumped right into Zoom, right? We all learned what Zoom was and then got in because we wanted to hear kind of expecting things to come back in a month, 2 months, 3 months. Nobody really expected it to be this long. And then very quickly, I think the whole industry kind of experienced a bit of Zoom fatigue, right? And trying these virtual conferences that left a lot to be desired, of course, because we're an industry that is all about being together in person, and the hugs and the smiles and the catch-ups at the bar. Those are always where the best conversations are. So we tried to find different ways to pivot from that. And I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about how we pivoted once we got through that initial kind of awkward stage of understanding the world we live in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. And so I think what we're going to do over the course of this session is we're just going to kind of share our journey that KAI as a company took. And by no means is this the end all be all. This is not the way to do it, but it's what we did. And we like to think we were pretty successful. I think we've really solidified ourselves as a leader in the industry, in the representation world, and we strengthened relationships at a time where a lot of relationships broke or people went quiet. So we're going to just take you through a number of the initiatives that we undertook, and more importantly, share some lessons that we learned along the way, because as Andrew said, we were constantly pivoting. We maybe thought we had the answers right at the outset, but we certainly did not. We came to learn that quickly. And Zoom fatigue is real. It's tough to grab people's attention, and especially for a place like South America. I mean, there's some really encouraging news coming out now, with Chile opening up in just a couple of days, Argentina starting to slowly open up. Obviously, Galapagos and Ecuador have been doing well. So there is good news. But for the last year and a half, there hasn't been much good news from the continent to share. So it is important to stay creative. So since April of last year, so right after lockdown started, we've kind of undertaken what I would consider 4 pretty major virtual initiatives. We'll call them that. Just in summary, they were, first was just a broad update. Then we did an amazing virtual festival called RepFest. Then at the beginning of 2021, we did a virtual series called Around the World in 80 Days. And now we're actually currently right in the middle of a new initiative called Live From, a webinar series, live updates from the ground. And that has prompted us to a new initiative that Andrew will touch on at the end, and I think Bram's already mentioned, called The Bridge, which will be a continuation of all the things we did, plus a whole lot more. And Andrew will definitely speak a bit more about that at the end of the session. But so what we're going to do is we'll take you through kind of what each initiative was, what worked, what didn't work, how we improved upon each one. So Andrew touched on it a little bit, but the first thing we did, it was late March, early April, as he said, everyone just like frantically, what do we do from home? How do we connect with people? Let's hold a Zoom meeting. Let's do a Zoom. Let's do an update. So we pretty much just coordinated Zoom webinars with our partners overseas. So Bram with an update from South America, our partner in South Africa with an update from there. And we pretty much just threw these together, sent an email out to the database and said, hey, come listen to us talk about being miserable, just like you are at home. Unfortunately, that's what it turned into. It was like, okay, yeah, we're now cleaning better than we used to clean. Or, we have these distance markers in our hotel lobby. And it just became discussions of saying a bit of the same thing over and over with really no end in sight. There was no tunnel, there was no light at the end of the tunnel, and it was just updates for the sake of updating, I would say. Would you agree with that, Andrew, those first kind of calls that we did?
Definitely, and just not knowing when the market was going to come back. You're prepping everything for when it does, but just it was such gray area that we really didn't know. And I think it touches to just, again, the importance of connecting with each other. Even if you have nothing to say, it's important just to get on the phone and have those conversations. You never know what little tidbit might inspire you, might help you do something next. And just keeping the conversations and the relationship fresh. So touching base with our partners overseas, as well as all those partners that we are regularly doing sales calls on domestically and in Canada as well, to make sure, you also think that this is a pretty scary time. So it was good just to kind of be able to alleviate some fears or to have a conversation with somebody strictly out of the fact that they might just want to talk. So yeah, definitely important just to stay in touch always.
Without a question, what we realized real quickly was that people were interested to get information, without a question. Yeah. And this was still at the very early stages. So I think we spread these out over the course of 4 or 6 weeks, and we had about 20 sessions in total with different partners all over the world with updates. And we saw the attendance slowly start to wane towards the end because, again, we were just providing updates that you could get by going to the website or reading something online or Googling, or there wasn't much to report. Again, it was kind of holding these Zoom updates for the sake of doing it. So where we might have had 85 or 100 on the first week of calls, we got down to where we were 30, 35, 40 people at the end. And that's not bad. I mean, having an audience of 30 or 40 people that care is great. But we saw them waning. The feedback we were getting was that it was kind of getting a little stale, if you will. So that was one of the most important lessons, was don't just throw a Zoom meeting for the sake of doing a Zoom meeting. Make sure you have some type of relevant content or update or some type of hook that will make sure people walk away thinking that was worth their half hour or their 20 minutes or their 1 hour because they took something away from it. If you don't have anything to say that is going to really provide value to your participants or attendees, maybe you don't hold the session. I hate to say that, but I like to think if you're a decent supplier, you can always find something meaningful. So make sure you have that built into whatever you're presenting. The other thing that I think we learned there, every single one of our partners had a PowerPoint presentation, which is great for some things, especially, if you have new pictures of rooms and you did a refurb or a new cool cultural experience and you want to show pictures of your guides and the interaction with the locals. But if you're just showing stats of cases and new hygiene techniques, PowerPoints can get very stale as well. You'll see we're not going to do any slides during this because conversation is much more impactful, in my opinion. Unless you're telling a story, have a really cool video, then you can certainly work them in. But I think those were our two biggest takeaways. Do not just have an update for the sake of an update, and don't bore people with a PowerPoint where it's not necessary. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was going to say, and that kind of led into what you mentioned earlier was RepFest. So we did this for a couple of reasons. The industry was starting to feel pretty stale, and those virtual conferences just really weren't hitting home. So we modeled RepFest actually completely different than anyone else had done off a music festival. We thought how great to empower our viewers to choose what they wanted to see, not just what they were told, this is what's happening right now, or this is who you must meet with right now. We want to give you a number of options, just like you would have in a music festival, and you get to hear the music that's interesting to you, or you get to go see the supplier partner that's interesting to you. And now all those partners that participated at RepFest, which was over 100 supplier partners, it wasn't updates. I don't think the word COVID or coronavirus came up at all during RepFest. It was, let's find something different about, Peru. Let's find something, a meal in Bolivia that people don't know about, and let's show them how to make it. It was all these different engaging ways to tell a story that weren't what everybody was getting all the time. And that is, I think, one of the parts of what made RepFest so successful. And another is just a collaboration between who would maybe traditionally be seen as competitors, but under these circumstances, we took more of a all for one for all approach, where we can have some healthy competition, but we can also benefit a lot from our individual relationships and just our past experiences. So the collaboration and the staying unique and offering something completely different were two huge takeaways from RepFest, and two of the things that we heard such positive feedback about. Do you agree?
100%. I think the collaboration by far, I think everyone, but the timing of this, by the way, for the first RepFest was late October of 2020. So it was about 6 months into lockdown. We had been working on it obviously for a few months before it went live, but it was over the course of 3 days in late October. And I think the collaboration was by far the biggest, because by that point, the majority of people in the industry realized that we had to do something for the greater good of the industry. And putting your competitive spirit aside really benefits everyone. And I do think that's even more important for the more smaller or boutique type operations that might be listening today. I mean, if you have a little 6-room Ecolodge or Hacienda in the middle of nowhere, maybe you don't have enough content or enough reach. But now if you partner with a big city hotel in Lima, or one of the bigger DMCs, or a Galapagos cruise company, now you're putting together a huge amount of content that will probably attract a broader audience, and you can combine your reach. So by us collaborating with traditional competitors, we have a lot of crossover in our databases, but there's quite a few that are unique to us or unique to the other companies. So we never shared databases. However, we reached out to ours and everyone reached out to their own. So I know for a fact, we now work with new advisors because they were introduced to our company and our partners because they attended RepFest based on being on someone else's database. So that I think was the hugest takeaway. And the other one, which also goes back a bit to avoiding PowerPoint, is don't be overly salesy in these things. You want more informal, entertaining, inspiring, is a word we use a lot around KAI and what we present. And I think that was really at the heart of RepFest when Andrew brought it to me and we started discussing it, was we did not want PowerPoints. We did not want it to be a salesy thing. This is for information, inspiration, and the good of the industry. So obviously you want to provide some type of sales pitch for your product. You're putting the time and investment into this, but make it engaging and entertaining more so than really hard sales when you're doing these type of things.
Absolutely. And, just hammering this home one more time, we had the reach from all the different rep companies, all the different suppliers. So again, that collaboration allowed you just to stretch further than you could ever do on your own. And we did a couple of things. One, we did want to make this a paid thing because we wanted to make sure that we could do even more good than just giving people awesome content. So we were actually able to donate all the profits that we made to a charity. So for the first RepFest, we donated everything to Every Mother Counts. And for the second RepFest, we donated to the ASTA Foundation. So I think that this idea of giving back, even in a time when it's hurting so much, is really important because, it always feels good. I think the sustainability and CSR is such a huge thing in our industry. And we wanted to, not only keep that momentum going and keep that mindset, but it's the right thing to do. And being a little catchy, we charged $20.21 because we thought 2021 would be better than 2020. And I mean, maybe it was, it wasn't, but
Up for debate.
it helped that conversation. Oh, they're charging. Oh, but they're charging 2021 because it's funny and it's all going to charity. Now, what, I think I'll actually do that. Where if somebody just saw the dollar sign, maybe they would have said no. So, again, just like giving back to something good. And I don't think it hurts to ever be a little catchy with the title or how you're going to get the information across.
Without a question. And the other thing that it did, RepFest as a whole, I mean, we had, what did we end up with? About 1,200 or 1,300 advisors join that initiative, which was incredible. I mean, that almost created brand ambassadors for us because we presented something that was cool, that they loved. It was different. It was unique. So you want to be that. And I mean, to sound kind of corny, but it almost created FOMO. Like they would be speaking to their friends, like, were you at that? Did you see that session? And people wouldn't want to miss what was going on next. So, I mean, that's a tall order, but if you can create something that had people buzzing about it or saying, wow, that was amazing, that was worthwhile, they're now doing your marketing for you. And they're going to make sure they never miss a future session that you do or a future initiative you undertake. So if you're able to do that, I mean, that's a home run. And I do feel that we really hit that with RepFest.
And that kind of led well into what we did next, which was our Around the World in 80 Days series. So this was one of Dave's, I think we collaborated on the idea and you definitely came up with the name. But, KAI, we're fortunate to have a collection that ranges the entire world, as Dave said, focusing on the exotics. And we thought, what a cool idea to kind of go continent by continent, as if you were in a balloon going around the world and being able to talk about all these different destinations. And I think it was people really enjoyed it. They loved the concept of it. And maybe somebody was interested in Africa and South America, but not so much Asia or the Middle East. So they could jump on for the couple weeks we're in that continent, back away, and then come back in later. But they could also share it with other people in the office. And that was great just because we were so present so frequently that people really, I think, took something out of it. Do you agree?
Without a question, yeah. And I mean, that was cool because we started that right after the New Year's, after the holidays. So it's kind of like everyone took a little break to step away and refresh. And now at that time, there were some openings being announced. There was vaccine kind of right coming up soon. You knew it was coming shortly. So people were really interested now for the updates from the ground. But again, what we did is we tried to avoid the PowerPoint stuff and make it more conversational. And it was like, okay, so Bram in Ecuador, if you go out to the restaurant, what is that experience like? Because here you don't know. You only know what's going on in your backyard because no one's really traveling yet. I mean, a handful, but very few. So that was really neat. And I do think gimmicky or kind of catchy names, as Andrew said, does go a long way. And I mean, corny is catchy sometimes. I'm one of the corniest people ever. Just ask my wife.
True.
But
that's true.
But it works. It's memorable. And so something like Around the World in 80 Days, it caught people's attention. We built a whole website around it, or a web page on our site. It got people interested. And we really got a great response from that. I mean, I think we had over 500 unique agents join at least one of the sessions, and many of them, as Andrew said, would join multiple based on the region that they were interested in. So I think that was a really huge success. And one of the things we kind of learned from that is the most important thing to me is to listen to your audience. So, everything we've told you to this point that we've done as KAI were ideas from KAI, from myself, Andrew, our other team, and that's great. But at the end of the day, we might think it's the smartest thing ever or the best thing or it's what the audience wants, but why not just ask them? Reach out to some of your better partners in the trade or reach out to other tourism boards or whoever and say, what's working for you or what do you want to hear? What would you like to be updated on? And then formulate your webinar series or your sales and marketing strategy from that. Not only is it smart because you're actually delivering what the client wants, but I think no one appreciates that more than the client. If you actually call them and say, hey, what would benefit you? What would help you? And then actually deliver and present something. And I think that's a really good way to kind of form your marketing strategy and your future webinars.
Yeah, absolutely. And throughout all this as well, we were constantly our faces in front of people. And I think that during these times, you don't want to be obnoxious with how often you're reaching out to people, but you do want to stay relevant at the same time. So throughout all the things that we were doing, it was, I think, timed out in the right space. Like you said, we did a RepFest October and in November. And then we certainly kept interacting with people, but we kind of laid back for a couple of months. And then we were able to jump back in with this big series again around the world. And then you're doing things that, as you mentioned with RepFest, you let them do the selling for you. You put something together that's really, really cool, and then word of mouth will help carry it forward, which was
Without a
awesome.
question. And I think that plays into another really important point that I'm guessing someone would have asked if I don't address it, is kind of when and how to promote these things and how frequently, because it is a very delicate balance of being obnoxious with filling people's inbox, but also staying relevant. So I think part of the fun of coming up with these ideas and these gimmicks or these corny names is they're exciting and they're new, and it's not just stale, same old, oh, I'm just getting an email from KAI to tell me that, this place cleans their bathrooms really well. Or, it's actually meaningful and exciting and different. Every time we put one of these together, we have a different spin on it. So I think how to promote them is to get some type of campaign behind it. As I said, we built just a page on our website that we would drive all the traffic to. You're able to register, you're able to submit questions in advance, so we make sure we address that during the session, in addition to obviously using your social campaign. And then the biggest thing, as Andrew alluded to earlier, is the collaboration. So if you're going at this with some other partners, you're all driving multiple audiences to the same place. So that's why I do think collaboration, even if it is with traditional competition, is critical in times like now. So promotion, again, as long as you have something to say that's meaningful or new, it's not too much. You don't want to just communicate just so they see your brand, because then they'll hit that unsubscribe, and that's the last thing you want. So as long as you have some angle, something meaningful, if you have a new chef, if you have a new organic garden, if you have a new guide, if you have a new local experience, if you want to show a video of your team doing the salsa, whatever it is that's fun, engaging, and new, it's never too much then.
Yeah, and I think, your team doing the salsa, I think the more you can be people, the better. Some of the greatest feedback we got was from spoof videos we did, from the mistakes, like blooper reels, or from our team finally getting together after a year and being able to have a retreat together and just spend time. We recorded some of that and shared it with the trade, and people reacted really well to that. I think the more you can show that you're just a person as well that's also trying to get through this, that adds a layer of human connection and bonding that's excellent, even for somebody that lives on the other side of the world. Another point I just wanted to make was just, you mentioned websites earlier, and your website is the face of your company for a lot of people. And I think that now is the time that many people have redone their websites, which is great. But I would encourage you to do that if you haven't, for sure. And now there's so many tools out there that make it really easy for you to do this yourself and to have kind of a artistic design edge that you weren't able to a couple of years ago. You had to pay someone tons of money, and now a lot of it can be done by yourself. So there's plenty of avenues to check out, from you got like your Squarespace and Wix to companies like Canva that do make your life a lot easier in being able to market and promote yourself. I guess the last thing that as you mentioned, Dave, which we're working on right now, is our Live From series. So right. As the world is opening up, if you want to dive in and tell them a little bit.
Yeah, so Around the World in 80 ended in, I think it was mid-March. So it was an interesting time where some stuff was opening. Vaccine rollout was just starting here in America, obviously a little behind in some other countries. But then we had a little bit of a window there where bookings started getting busy again. And we were having, not back to normal, but more meaningful conversations, people inquiring about trips because vaccine was rolling out in the US. And there was a bit of a peak in bookings and inquiries. So we were busy back to our day-to-day, which was very welcome. But still, getting on Zoom calls, doing presentations, picking up the phone. But then the Delta variant threw a wrench in some things quieted down again, and there was more confusion than ever before in the market. Just with what's open, what are the entry requirements, what is it like on the ground, is there a curfew? I mean, the questions are endless, and you guys know them as well as I do. So what we decided to do is a new series where, again, we tap into each of our local on-the-ground experts, our DMC partners, touching on, I think we're ending up doing 11 different countries, and it's live from. And again, it was playful. As Andrew mentioned, we took it live from New York at Saturday night, like Saturday Night Live. So we did kind of a spoof on that with the logo of it, the branding of it, and all the promotion of it. And so we just started this about 10 days ago, and it's maybe 2 weeks now, and it's been incredibly successful. And this is just quick 20-minute hits, 25 minutes at most. Here's what you need to enter. When you get to the airport, this is what you can expect. This type of services are open. When you go to a restaurant, you need to sanitize, they take your temperature, and then once you sit down, no mask, just simple things like that. And the number of questions and engagement we've gotten has been incredible. Again, it's not terribly salesy, but at the end of each session, we do a little bit, this was brought to you by our great partners at XYZ in XYZ country or region. And by booking with them or trusting them with your business, you'll be sure to be kept up to speed and your clients will be well taken care of, where you'll be able to sleep easy at night and not have to worry about getting a frantic message at 2 a.m. from your client. And these have been so welcome. We actually have them going on for the next few weeks. If anyone wants to join, you're more than welcome to jump on them. You just go to our website to register. But so again, it's just another way of listening to the trade and delivering what they want. And I think that's incredibly important. If there's one takeaway from this session, it would be that for me. Anything to add on that, Andrew?
Yeah, just one point that you brought up, and I think is really important to hammer home, is the timing. These are about 20 minutes long. When you think about the attention span that people have right now, whether that's for Zoom, or whether they got kids running around at home with them, whether they have 6 of these in a row, or a client that's rebooking for the 4th time and now there's new entry requirements, just be mindful of not so much how much time you're taking, but what their actual attention span is. And I only think that at 20 to 30 minutes is really the sweet spot, and even pushing it. So just something to keep in mind. And then same thing with the memory. Americans especially, travelers have kind of a short-term memory. So maybe things were not very good in your destination for a while and it got a lot of negative publicity, which certainly has happened in South America as well as many other destinations around the world. That's not going to be forever. It may have been really bad press, but you will come out of that. And it's important to keep pushing a positive message forward and doing it in a timely manner so that you do keep their attention.
Yeah, without a question. And then, so that's kind of the series we're working on now. So we've worked through all of these different initiatives and they've been spaced out perfectly, in my opinion. They've really addressed critical points and messaging and information that the industry has needed. And then that brings us to follow-up and kind of how to capitalize on this. So make sure that if people tune into your sessions, obviously they're interested. They're going out of their way and spending valuable time to listen to you. So maintain communications, and that's when you follow up regularly with a personal outreach, not these mass emails. Pick up the phone and call them. Say, thank you so much. Is there anything else I can provide you? Send them a personal email instead of a generic BCC copy. And then the other thing is we always make the recorded sessions available. You can watch it on our KAI Dropbox. You can watch it on our website. There's links to that. I know some other companies don't. They want to make it, hey, be there or you miss out, to kind of create that demand or that need. I don't like that. I like having it available so people can go, because then also you can monitor that on the back end. If you go and look at who's watched it, who's downloaded it, and then know who's kind of checking in and do your follow-ups. Also, you then have a record of it. You have this whole library that will live on forever that people can always go back and reference if they missed the session, or maybe they didn't have a booking for Chile right now, but they do in a month. And they're like, oh, I remember that KI session. What's it like on the ground now? Let me go watch that. It was only 3 weeks ago. It's probably similar. So we always do that. That's something I believe in, but I know some other people would disagree with that tactic.
I'm 100% on board with you. I think it's the right move, and people's lives are fast and busy. And just because they can't be there at that moment, there could be a million reasons. And I think it's always worth it to not only have them the ability to get that information, but just it's going to live on forever. People are always going to reference it. So always a good thing.
Without a question. So that's kind of what we've done. And that leads into what we're doing. So in addition to KI, Andrew and I have started something new. It's been a fun project, and it's kind of the culmination of a lot of what we've just talked about, more so RepFest than any of the other initiatives. But it's an amazing platform called The Bridge that at the conclusion of Senses of South America, we hope to see you all on. And I think we can end it there, Andrew. We'll open up the platform for questions now. You can address any Q&A. You guys are always welcome to reach out to me directly as well. It's just david@kainyc.com. Drop me a line anytime if I can ever be of assistance or be a sounding board to you. But please direct any questions right now to Andrew, and then he'll also take you through a little more of Bridge information, and we hope to see you on that platform soon.
That sounds good to me. I'll see you all in just 1 second.
Thanks, guys.
Hello. I hope you enjoyed the conversation that Dave and I had. What do you think, Bram?
Super. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
That was inspiring, and I still remember, because I've been through all of these rep fests and 80 days around the world, and the other initiatives that you took, and really put us in activity, which is so important nowadays, to be active, to be there, to be holding our hands through these times. Even if there's no revenue, doesn't mean that we have to stick our heads in the sand. So yes, and thank you for being such a great partner. I think we should have a little chat about the bridge. That's something that is that Census of South America is proposing everybody that's joining here at this first edition to actually jump on this new kind of first tourism social media app that has been created by these great fellows, Andrew and David, and that we are supporting as well as Census of South America. And we really would like you to register. It's going to be live on October 28th, which, by the way, is my birthday. And and everybody is welcome to actually check that out. It works fantastically on your cell phone. And you really can engage with a lot of travel agents from all over the globe nowadays, if you are going to join, and also with suppliers actually from all over the world. So that's the idea. Andrew, give us some more information.
Yeah, so the bridge, it came out of the idea of building RepFest and seeing how people like the platform and coming together, and the idea that a lot of people have been asking for something different in the travel industry for a long time, and a more centralized home, and different ways to get information, to communicate, and to work together, going back to that collaboration piece that Dave and I really talked about quite a bit. So what we did is, the Bridge is a digital platform that you can access on the web, or we actually created a super awesome app, if I do say so. It's pretty great. Yep. So right now, so many people are just using their phones for work. So we decided that the app was necessary. And a lot of those things that maybe you can find in a bunch of different places around the internet or from different suppliers around the world, want to centralize that all to make life much easier for everyone. So if you need sample itineraries, and the client is debating between Colombia or between Uruguay and between Uganda, you can come on here rather than writing to 3 different suppliers and waiting for them to all get back. You can pop on, and Bram from Pure Travel Group has already populated a couple sample itineraries for Colombia, so you can get that flavor, and then you can talk with Bram about really fine-tuning it. Also, places that you can go get the most up-to-date information about COVID for anywhere in the world. What are the restrictions? What are the requirements? What are the PCR tests? As well as just general questions. Maybe Colombia is a destination that you've never sold. We wanted it to be a place that you can go ask questions and get answers from your peers, from suppliers and advisors alike. So again, a place that we encourage collaboration. And one thing that has always driven me crazy about this travel industry that I love so much is the kind of model of pay to play. The people with the deepest pockets in the travel industry tend to be the ones with the loudest voice. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the best product or it's what's right for you and your clients. So we kind of wanted the Bridge to level that playing field. We're keeping it free for the rest of this year. So again, everyone, please jump on and check it out. And then next year, we're keeping the fees super nominal, because it shouldn't be about money. It shouldn't be whoever has the most money is the one that'll always be the first pop up when you're looking for an answer. It should really be about the product and the quality of the company and the people there. That's who you end up going with. That's the information that you have in front of you. So the Bridge will be live for everyone in just under a month on Bram's birthday. It was done intentionally just for you.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
On October 28th. So right now, Bram did put travelthebridge.com into the chat box there. You can go on and you can sign up now, and then we'll send you login instructions a little later. And we wanted to keep people coming back. It can't just be this place where you can go get information. We need people to kind of come on a daily basis. So we've done a number of things that will give you daily kind of things that you're looking for and will feed your soul in a way. So every single day on the Bridge, there'll be 3 to 6 different live sessions. Bram may be on there talking about Ecuador, like a place that's so special in your heart, and just talking about the destination for no other reason than to say how much you love it. Then there might be a proper product update on a new hotel that came up in Patagonia. And then later in the day, there's going to be a conversation on diversity in travel and where are we missing the ball and what can we do to be different. So we want it to be a place that you can come and experience a bunch of different things. And then also in an industry that is so constantly changing and there's updates all the time, we do want to be that news source for you. So whether that's in our morning report, which is every single morning at 10 a.m. updating you on the industry, whether that's on the different social media channels or right on the Bridge chat rooms, we're giving you constant updates around the industry as they come in, again, trying to centralize everything that you need from the travel industry into one place. So I hope that explained the Bridge a little bit, but happy to take any questions.
Oh, you definitely did. I see that there's no real question anymore. I just would like to invite everybody to enjoy the Bridge and to investigate it a bit further. Make sure that especially also the suppliers who are listening, you have an amazing scope of travel agents that are on that platform and that are hunger for information, and you have your moment there at the Bridge to actually shine as what you're doing here at Sensis. So the Bridge will breed a bridge from the first Sensis and hopefully towards the second edition of Sensis of South America, if everybody allows us to organize that. Let's see. There's no other question for the moment, and we are actually right on time. So thank you, Andrew, for your participation. And of course, David, wherever you might be, thank you, Dave. And I hope you're enjoying. Everybody else, please grab a cup of coffee, a sandwich, and prepare for your next meetings. I hope you're still enjoying all the meetings that you're having here at Sensis, and we'll be right back with you for our afternoon session. Hopefully you'll be able to register for the one that you like best. Thank you so much, everybody.
Have a great time.